I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of Winona. Winona may well be on the way to being known as a mecca for the professional theater and the live arts. Not only do we have professional Shakespeare in the summer, along with a fabulous music venue before and after the plays, but we have another group with the title Theater du Mississippi, which will also be bringing us professional theater, films, and music to our community. Today we're going to find out more about this interesting group and what they have in store for our town. We're now in the center, right in the center of the theater, where generally the audience sits, and I'm with Debbie White, who is the new Executive Director of Theater du Mississippi. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Joyce. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, Debbie. Debbie, Theater du Mississippi is really coming around and really getting busy, and there's a lot going on. And I understand we can expect some wonderful venues for the future. Can you kind of bring us up to date as to what's going to be happening?
Sure, I'll do the best I can because I'm newly appointed to this position, probably about 7 days now, and I've got a lot of catch up to do. But some of the things we've been talking about, besides that we still offer professional theater and music, we're going to try looking into something to do with dance also. So we're bringing a wide venue of artistic and cultural opportunities for the community of Winona and beyond. I was festival manager with Great River Shakespeare Festival. I love the theater, I love the arts, I love the culture, what it can bring to in the community, economic development, as far as tourism and the culture and the quality of life issues that we are looking at, educational issues that we're looking at. And Winona has a lot to offer. So I'm hoping that respect I can bring that in collaboration that we work with the city. For example, this building here, this beautiful historic building, the city does own, and the Masons rent it from the city, and we rent the theater space from the Masons. So it's a win-win situation, wonderful showing of collaboration that we have in working and to bring historic ventures down here, downtown ventures to help rejuvenate the downtown. So it all goes hand in hand and supports each other very well.
Is this the theater where most of the venues will be performed, all the dance, the music?
That's what we're looking for, and I'm assuming we can do dance here. That's still kind of new. That's more my background also. I'd like to revisit doing some more workshop type thing. I know Maggie Joachim had done that in the past. Some of it was time and other forces to get us to do that again, so I'd love to open that up to different types of theater workshops or who knows, dance workshops or whatever we can do to the community so we can offer that to the community. We're looking maybe to get Guy Davis back, but more in the actor capacity, not as the fabulous musician that he is. And I've heard he also does a wonderful workshop in the school system. So we want to open that door up a whole lot to connect more with the schools, the high schools and the middle schools and the grade schools, and see what we can do there.
Guy Davis, known as the Renaissance Blues Man, performed here at the Masonic Temple to a full house. He is renowned for his acoustic blues, self-composed songs that touch deep into the souls of his listeners.
Well, that 61 highway is the loneliest road I know. She runs from New York City, run right by my baby's door. You know, some people say that city Greyhound buses, they don't run. Well, gonna go to West Memphis, baby. Look down Highway 61.
Well, Debbie, I want to thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts, and hopefully Theater du Mississippi and Winona will be a wonderful joint venture.
It will. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're now sitting inside of the Masonic Temple, right in their ceremonial theater, which is just a fabulous, beautiful room. And we're sitting with Lynn Nankerville and Jane Bartz. Hi, girls. Welcome to the Spirit of Winona.
Hello, Joyce.
Hello, thank you.
Now, Lynn is a board member as well as Jane. And Lynn, I understand that you probably are one of the original board members of Theater du Mississippi.
Yes, I am. I think I've been with it right from the beginning when I first saw an audition ad in the paper. for a group that I knew absolutely nothing about. And I got my courage together and went down and auditioned, and didn't get in a play, but I've been involved in practically every other way ever since.
It is a fun group, isn't it?
Oh, it's great.
When
Yeah.
did it begin? What year was that?
Oh, gosh, I think about 7 years ago now.
Okay.
When our founder, Maggie Jacquemin, who is from Belgium, came to Winona. She married a local person, Will Kitchen, and the two of them decided that they just couldn't give up on theater. They wanted to really bring it here. Not that Winona doesn't already have some wonderful college theater, but something just a little different than that.
Okay, tell me, well, what went on in the past, and I know you've really been revving up over the last few years. Tell me how it's developed and about your last season.
We've done 2 films that dealt with contemporary issues. One was Greta's Song that had to do with spousal abuse. It was an award-winning film.
Get out of here.
Hey, Darrell, what's the problem here?
No, nothing. I'll be right back in. You just keep your distance from my daughter and me, pal. Is that clear?
Your mom's got a lot of guts to do what she's doing.
And she deserves to dance for him and be swept up in his arms and know that he loves her so much.
I think you should hear your grandma play her song for you.
It's past visiting hours.
And Alzheimer's patients don't know how to play the piano, but I think an exception can be made now and again. Come on.
Would you play your song for me? Just for me? Please?
The other was Eldon Miller's Ghost that we showed last year down at the Arts Center, having to do with a Vietnam veteran and his difficulties.
Now, both of those were produced right here in Winona, weren't they?
Yes, they were, yes.
And with local actors?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We filmed all of Eldon Miller's Ghost in Fountain City, Wisconsin, and Winona, mainly Winona. It's a beautiful film. It's real eye candy to see how gorgeous this part of the world is. We did some of it at the levee, some of it up in the hills. It's really a beautiful film to see.
This guy kind of looks like Grandpa.
George Washington?
Grandpa doesn't wear a wig, though.
He could use one.
This is Dad's war, isn't it?
It was. It ended a long time ago.
For some people.
Hey, lawyer boy.
Did Edward make these?
All by himself.
You should have asked for some help.
Hey, who are you? What are you doing here? Miller? Miller? It is you! You're here!
So you got your film. Now tell me a little bit more about your music venue.
Well, we've done some marvelous concerts. Guy Davis, for one thing. Guy Davis is just an incredible performer. He is a man of unlimited talent. He is from a theatrical family. He happens to be the son of Ossie Davis, the very famous movie star, and Ruby Dee was his mother, so he came from a very theatrical family. Guy is just an incredible musician. He's also an actor. He's been here twice, and we're going to have him back again.
I ain't good for nothing, honey, when I haven't got no friend. tired of it, baby. People are jealous of you. They smile in your face, but behind your back, they hiss. What's a sweetheart like you doing in the dump like this? I do love, mom and love, show me red hot love, show me red baby love, show me red everybody love, show me red, I do love, show me red.
Jane, now I know that you're also on the board, and you're probably more of the business side of Theater do Mississippi. Tell me what you have in store and what your hopes are for Theater do Mississippi.
I think Theater do Mississippi is a wonderful organization to Winona. We have a lot of manufacturing and a lot of business in Winona and the colleges and the universities, and it's really nice to see the arts culture grow in Winona, especially with Shakespeare coming. For myself and for our board, I would like to see economic development through cultural tourism. It'd be wonderful to see Winona as a tourism destination because they have a great arts culture. And with Theater Mississippi, we try to focus in our mission to be a regional voice in theater, film, and music, and with Debbie White on board, expanding to dance.
Jane, I talked to you earlier, and I really liked your dream about the use of the auditorium. Tell me about your feelings about that.
It'd be wonderful to have a cultural center for Winona. That would really springboard more tourism to Winona, so that we have a wonderful theater at Page and also a wonderful theater at Winona State. They also use those, the institution used those 9 months out of the year. If we had a cultural center in Winona, we could offer theater groups, music, all those arts culture at a 12-month series.
Jane, do you have any thoughts on the old theater that used to be part of Winona Middle School? The auditorium, it's absolutely a beautiful auditorium, but it needs total renovation. Do you have any thoughts of that being part of Theater do Mississippi?
Theater do Mississippi is always looking to historic revitalization, and it would really be nice to have our old junior high, it's with a fabulous architecture and holds a lot of seating, to use it as a cultural center for Winona. The availability for 12 months a year for all arts culture to use it and have a spot to use it, and it really helps have a landmark for the community, to some place to go where here I can check up the lineup. We have a full box office that you can find out what's being available.
You're right, that would be a great place.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea. Because we're sitting here in this wonderful theater, let's talk a little bit more about the theater and the Masons and the Masonic building itself. Do you know much about the history of it?
The building is owned by the city of Winona. It was built in 1908 for the Masons at a considerable expense. It's quite a grand, lovely building.
The Masonic Temple is located at 5th and Main Street in the downtown area. It was sold to the city of Winona in 1979 by the Winona Masonic Benevolent Association for the purpose of creating the Winona Senior Friendship Center. The center occupies the first floor of the building, and the second and third floor are leased by the Mason organization. A kitchen and meeting rooms occupy the third floor, and the second floor houses a beautiful theater, which the Masons still use for a banquet hall and ceremonial purposes. This is the theater currently used to stage the various performances presented by Theater do Mississippi.
The building is such an attraction that sometimes sometimes we almost worry when the audience walks in and they say, wow, they look around and you hope that they're focusing on the stage, when the performance starts, because the building is just spectacular. It really is. We're so lucky to be able to have the use of a wonderful building like this. It has a pipe organ still intact that was, I believe, a very expensive installation when it was put in.
The walls are decorated with stencil designs of Masonic and Egyptian motifs. In the upper center above the stage area, under a pylon and flanked by a pair of sphinxes, is a large Egyptian winged sun with the letter G in its center. Tall stem lotus flowers are also painted on the wall panels. These decorative paintings are retained in their original condition. On the walls are the original combination electric gas wall sconces. Behind the curtain backstage, I met with David Mann as he rehearses for the one-man show to be presented by Theater du Mississippi. I'm sitting with David Mann, who is going to be presenting soon the Revelations of Man, which is a wonderful, wonderful show. David comes from Minneapolis. He's performed at the Guthrie Theater, and he's a brand new father, and he's hilariously funny in this show, aren't you, David?
Well, I try to be, yeah.
Now, David, many of the people, I'm sure, will recognize you from the summer when you were in the Shakespeare production.
Well, I played 3 characters, Peter Quince and Aegeus in Midsummer Night's Dream. And then I also played the Old Shepherd, well, 4 characters, the Old Shepherd and a Lord in Winter's Tale. And I think Peter Quince is probably my favorite of all those, because he's sort of the drama director. I mean, believe it or not, I got to play a drama director, just like I will be in Revelations of Man.
Gentles, perchance you wonder at this show, but wonder on.
Now, David, some of the people maybe recognize you also from the newspaper because you are the spokesperson for Midwest Wireless.
That's right. Yes, I am.
Now, you don't have your glasses on, and generally you wear those. So tell us about that experience.
Well, I've been the Midwest Wireless spokesman for 4 years now, and it's a great job. I get to be that guy in those commercials, and the glasses kind of are the signature item for the character. They're not really my glasses, they're his glasses, if you will. And I do those commercials and the radio commercials and the billboards and all that stuff, and it's just so much fun. And because a lot of that stuff plays outside the Twin Cities area, people in the Twin Cities don't really know that I'm that guy, and so I can do as much theater as I want and just be accepted as the theater guy.
I was riding in Minneapolis the other day, and this was the first that it dawned on me that was you, because I'm behind a huge city bus, and there you are on the back of the bus with your telephone. And hey, there's David Mann, the guy from Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. Now you're bringing the Revelations of Man to Winona. Let's talk a little bit about that. I watched some of it, and it is hilarious. Tell me about it.
What it is a one-man show that is based on my own experience teaching high school theater in St. Paul, in a Catholic high school up there that I did in the early 90s, not being a Catholic myself.
It doesn't say this on my resume exactly, but I'm sort of Lutheran.
Tell me, how difficult is it to present all these thoughts and ideas with just yourself on the stage?
The difficulty, I would say, is in the writing of it, because I wrote this out first and very meticulously went through to make sure it had a rhythm, that the stories would be told in a way that would continue to be engaging to an audience. So it would have a variety of me acting things out, as well as me just telling the audience stories. Me performing as other people, and then me just being myself and sitting on a stool and telling it. And then after that, it's a matter of rehearsing it so that it has life.
Mary Queen of Victory, pray for us! Rob was also on the football team, where he had learned to pray in a more competitive style.
Well, I'm sure people in Winona can relate to this story because, as you know, we have a Catholic school here, and there are certainly lay teachers that are not Catholic that teach there, and as well as St. Mary's University. Tell me a little bit more about some real funny experiences that might have happened that you put into your story that maybe they could relate to.
I was the first director to do a Shakespeare play at this high school. And for me, it was the first time I had ever worked as a director on a Shakespeare play. And so I brought this play in, and, it seemed really hard, way too hard for everybody, and it seemed too hard for me and too hard for the kids and everything. Everybody was kind of afraid of it.
Hey, all right. Where is Lysander and fair Hermia? The one I'll slay, the other slayeth me.
Come, sit thee down upon my flowery bed.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mary Agnes, the head secretary here. So then what is it you don't know about a Catholic school?
Well, what chore are we doing next fall, Dave? Are you going to cast me this time, or are you just going to make me play the piano?
Hi. Bye. You.
My director, Sarah Joya, was instrumental in bringing the thing from the page to the stage, as we like to say, and making my characters be distinct from each other, and the whole thing had an overall feel of being, funny as well as real and heartwarming at the same time.
David, thank you so much for the interview, and welcome back to Winona, and we really look forward to seeing you in the Revelations of Man.
Well, thank you, Joyce.
Okay, I'm currently now standing on the stage of the Masonic Temple, and we're standing underneath the beautiful organ pipes, and I'm standing with Sarah Eidlet, who is the production technician for Theater du Mississippi. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Joyce.
Sarah, tell me what you think of this theater. I know you've now presented several productions here for Theater du Mississippi, and you're about to present the new one coming up with David Mann. Tell me what you think of this theater.
I think it's a real privilege as a theater person to work in this space because of its historic nature. I mean, it's priceless. It's a proscenium arch. It's well endowed. It has a great stage space. Some new technology might be nice. I mean, it's antiquated equipment, but the history is beautiful. And the fact that the Masons allow us to come in here and use it is really a nice opportunity for a theater company.
Sarah, would you mind taking us on a little tour backstage and showing us some of this equipment?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Come on back here. We'll go stage right. And you'll see right over here that there's a cage here. Well, this is about the newest thing, I think, in this entire temple, since it was built at the turn of the century. I think they just put this in for code reasons, and that is because you'll see here the original lighting system. I used to bring my theater students here just as a lesson in history for theater, because right out of the textbook, these are old-fashioned resistance dimmers. And they have levers here for people who just don't even know how to use it. You'd have to know how to unlock that kind of stuff. And over here is the contact board, where just huge big bus fuses connect. They've got the main switch right down here. So this is really, really, really great. If you want a little demo, I can turn off the house lights, turn the house lights on. You can see the sparks. It's all these little things do these very, very old-fashioned strip light, which we see up in the fly loft up there. Up a little bit farther up here is the fly loft, and you see all these little ropes, and that is one of the most unique features of this theater, is that for the Masons' ceremonies back in the turn of the century, they realized that to create the different scenes, they needed some drops. And so they would order these special hand-painted drops from major scenic houses in Chicago.
98 scenic drops were installed and still hang in the stage area.
Show you some. I got to go up there and pull them down up on the gallery, and then we can get a picture of those from maybe out in the house so you can see it.
Great, let's do it.
Okay. Now I am up here in the fly gallery, which is where all of the drops are rigged to fly in and out of. And this is the original hemp rope from the original rigging, and these are the weights, and they're all just counterweighted. So all I need to do is pull down on this, and I'm going to bring in 3 or 4 of these particular drops to create what they call a scene. Now we're going to set up the sunset behind the Greek ruins scene. So this is traditional wing and border type style of scenery, all two-dimensional, and A lot of cut drops, meaning there's some black netting that holds some pieces of the drops together to create this illusion of depth. It's an old-fashioned style of scenery. I'm going to bring in 18 now, and we'll see, this might be a leg or a wing drop. I hope nobody's underneath me. Okay. And then the last set, I'm going to bring in these 4, and we'll see how that completes the picture. Of course, there would usually be probably 3 or 4 flymen up here, bringing them in simultaneously to create the illusion. For me, it's like really special to be able to do this. So the last one I have to bring in is right where you are. Okay, I'm bringing in 91 now. This should be the last one. The very far up stage, this would be the complete backdrop. So this is the most fully painted one. Okay. A lot of these are very, very fragile, these drops still, because they are so old, and to keep them updated would take a restoration team.
Sarah, this is absolutely marvelous. Thank you for dropping these for us. Describe this to us now.
Well, this would technically be referred to as a cut drop, and it's just a muslin drop that was hand painted with dry pigments where they mixed their own paints, and animal glue, which was the binder to hold the paint onto the canvas. And then when they did cutouts like this, where they would cut away some of that previously painted drops, they had to hold it together with this black netting. And so they called them cut drops. And the netting disappears under the stage lighting. So for the audience, the illusion is created with these layers, or these wings and drops. That layering helps to create this sense of depth from the audience. It looks like we are seeing the distance here of the Greek ruins at sunset. So,
Sarah, how common are these kinds of drops in other theaters?
Today's scenic practices really don't favor the painted drop much anymore. I mean, the three-dimensional style of scenery is really more common. The master scenic artist is very rare nowadays. The thing about scenic art is that it's a broad stroke, very, very rough, and it's only captured from a distance where it really begins to take its shape. These were, in fact, created originally in Chicago. The gentleman who created and designed them was a Mason himself, and so he knew specifically what they needed to create the scenes for their ceremonies, and so they hand-painted them down there and shipped them up to Winona, and they've been here ever since, right up there.
It really is a great theater here.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing the productions on this theater back to the Winonans. And also, we can thank Theater du Mississippi for bringing us all these wonderful fine arts venues. This has been Joyce Woodworth. Thank you for joining me today. Please join me again next week. Till then, enjoy the Spirit of Winona.